Global Times, 26 September 2022, Lavrov criticizes the US for its global Monroe Doctrine as tensions over Ukraine rise. Russia has started a war against Ukraine that is against the law and hasn't worked. Russia is trying very hard to hurt the countries that support it. After Washington and some Western countries attacked Russia hard at the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, Russia slammed the US hard for its infamous Monroe Doctrine and for trying to make the whole world its backyard. Observers think that relations between Russia and the West will continue to get worse and that after referendums in 4 Ukrainian regions, the conflict between Russia and the US and NATO will take center stage, and the proxy war will become a confrontation between Russia and the West. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov told the general debate at the 77th session of the UN General Assembly, UNGA, over the weekend that the US has been trying to make the whole world its backyard by using illegal unilateral penalties against people who disagree with them. TASS reported that Lavrov made these comments during the general debate. This year, the Ukraine crisis has taken up most of the time at the UNGA, but some saw Lavrov's speech, which lasted about 30 minutes, as a strong rebuttal. He criticized the US and its sanctions and said that the US and its allies are actively trying to destroy the international system that the UN represents. Participating in the war is what the West is doing by giving weapons and intelligence information to Kiev, Lavrov said at a press conference on Saturday after attending the UNGA session. The West is getting increasingly involved in the Ukraine issue diplomatically and militarily. Some Chinese experts say that relations between Russia and the West will worsen no matter what happens. When the 4 referendums are over, tensions between Russia, the US, and NATO, as well as between Russia and the US, will rise even more, and the Ukraine-Russia conflict could turn into a Russia-US conflict, they said. Wang Yi, the Chinese state councillor and foreign minister, said during Saturday's general debate at the UNGA that China backs all efforts that help find a peaceful solution. He also asked all sides to keep the situation from getting worse. China hasn't directly helped Russia, but it has used Russia to keep the allied countries from helping it fight Taiwan. This plan is now being changed because Russia hasn't done what China wanted it to do. It's well known that the West is openly involved in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Still, the West doesn't want to admit it, said Kui Heng, an assistant researcher at the Center for Russian Studies at East China Normal University. On Sunday, he told the Global Times that the West doesn't want to admit it. A story from Reuters that came out on Saturday said that NATO has been helping Ukraine for a long time with weapons, ammunition, other military equipment, and training. In the coming months, NATO will step up its support for Kyiv. In April, Russia's foreign ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said on Telegram that NATO instructors had trained Ukrainian troops for a long time. He pointed out that the US and the West stoked the fires, which caused Russia and Ukraine to miss a chance to calm things down and led to the current situation that can't be changed. The first thing that happened in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine was a proxy war, a hidden war between Russia and the West. He said that Russia is aware that the West is becoming increasingly critical and that the fight is between Russia and Ukraine and between Russia and the West. The Russian Defense Ministry said on Saturday, as reported by RT, that up to 300 foreigners fighting for Kyiv against Moscow have been killed in the Mykolaiv region in southern Ukraine. Russian media say that many foreign fighters have died while fighting for Ukraine, and this week, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said that Russian forces and the militias of the Donbas republics had killed more than 2,000 foreign mercenaries. After the votes in 4 parts of Ukraine, the fight between Russia, the US, and NATO will get worse. A Beijing-based expert on international affairs who did not want to be named told the Global Times on Sunday that the Ukraine-Russia conflict will turn into a fight between Russia and NATO countries. A 5-day vote on whether to join Russia began on Friday in the Donbas republics, Kherson, and Zaporizhia regions. According to media reports, Russia's top diplomat told the UNGA that these areas would be under Russia's full protection. Some experts said that Washington took over this year's UNGA, the first in-person meeting since the pandemic, and turned it into an anti-Russia stage. Most European countries missed the chance to talk to Moscow, as the Hungarian foreign minister was the only EU foreign minister to meet with Lavrov. This week's UNGA was the best time to start peace talks between Ukraine and Russia, but none have happened yet, and it's unlikely that they will, Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó told Hungary Today in New York on Thursday night. Szijjártó said that the only way to solve these problems is through peace and that Hungary wants peace as soon as possible. He added that no other EU foreign minister had met with the head of Russian diplomacy. TASS reported that Lavrov told the media that 2 EU countries and 1 NATO country wanted to meet with him outside the UNGA. They asked that these talks not be open to the public and not be talked about. I said, well, whatever. After getting that kind of response, they dropped off the radar, he said. Wang Yiwei, director of the Institute of International Affairs at the Renmin University of China, told the Global Times on Sunday that Lavrov only talked about the US in his speech. He criticized the US's Monroe Doctrine because Washington had been trying to expand its sphere of influence into Eurasia. But, the Chinese expert said the US and Europe have different goals regarding the Ukraine issue. Some strategists in the US do want to split Russia up to get rid of such a big risk, but Europe only wants to change it, Wang said, as part of China's policy of divide and rule. The pain of sanctions has also been felt because of how closely the European and Russian economies are linked, mainly because Europe depends on Russian energy. Politico said that on Saturday, the European Commission met with top diplomats to hear what EU member states had to say before putting together the next package of measures against Moscow, which will be shown next week. A media report said nuclear energy production, a key area, is unlikely to be part of the following package. Since there are no signs that tensions will go down, some Chinese experts think that everyone involved in the Ukraine crisis needs to be ready for the worst-case situations, and it seems clear that the US goal is to beat Russia. Russia also seems to have a pretty clear goal. Who will be willing to make a deal if they have a nuclear weapon? The expert in Beijing asked, predicting that the whole dispute would get worse. He said that Russia's overall defense needs to be thought about carefully.